Hello, friends. This is Chandrakant from Akulmach, and today we have a very bright Monday morning. The good news is that India has already started their vaccination program, and the best part is the vaccination is now available for every citizen, everyone, and the government is saying that this is the largest vaccination program in the world because obviously there are so many people here. At the same time, for 60 plus, it is free. For 12 and above, it's just $3, $3 to $4. And all you have to do is download an app called Co-Win. It is Co-Win and book your slot. So it has been made so easy and so simple. The government of India has opened 10,000 centers across the country where people can get vaccinated against COVID-19. So this is a great news today. But there is another very interesting news that has happened, which we have heard today morning, that Starlink. Some of us may be knowing what is Starlink, but we can explain also very briefly. Starlink is now offering, a beta program where you can deposit something like 7,000 rupees or $99 for the equipment, and then by a couple of months, in next couple of months, you will get the equipment and you will be among the first users of Starlink in India. They launched their program today. To discuss this particular item, let me invite my friend from UK, Mr. Nebel Gund.
Morning, CK. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, certainly some big news. I like the idea that it's now open for everybody. That's the COVID vaccination, which is excellent news. And it's bound to be the biggest in the world because we don't hear much from China, do we? So therefore, India is the next biggest country in the world. So 1.4 billion people do have a bit of a say. So congratulations to India. Let's hope it's putting us on the right course. But Starlink, even bigger news in many respects, because we're talking about future-proofing our connectivity. Conversations like we're having right here, video to video, discussion to discussion. We can now have it literally via the web in the sky. What could be better? So why do you think Elon Musk and the Starlink group have done this? What's the reason behind doing this, CK?
Well, it's a global phenomenon, Naval, and connectivity is a big thing. And if we don't have connectivity, then we feel handicapped. And that is the reality of today. The connectivity is via a cable. If the cable is not there, if there are no Wi-Fi connectivity in a village somewhere, let's say India, then the villagers don't have access to many of the facilities or government programs. So the government of the day today, exerted themselves quite a bit, and they have covered all villages via a cable and provided Wi-Fi across India. So that is one thing they have already finished. And well, India could be an example, but then there are so many other parts of the world where there are remote locations where there are no internet services available. So Elon Musk and his company SpaceX has started this program called Starlink, which will remove this issue once and for all. You don't have to lay expensive cable, dig the find the labor to dig the whole thing in, erect the towers, and then manage them by employing so many people. Their simple plan is they will use their heavy rocket, which is called Falcon 9, and they will launch multiple satellites in one go. In one launch, they will probably launch 100 or more than 100 satellites in one go. In all, they have to have a target of 400 to 500 satellites, which will be able to cover the entire Earth at the altitude of 400 kilometers above the Earth in a low Earth orbit. From that height, the satellite can beam down the internet directly into your home. And well, satellite will also be moving because it will be in orbit. So if the satellite moves away, what happens? That is why the next satellite will come and take its place. So there will be a handover procedure which will be controlled using a Starlink software. So the whole environment around the Earth will become a huge global internet, interconnecting everyone across the world, whether you're in a village in Africa or ocean, going in a ocean liner, you will not have any dearth of internet not being available. So once this network is in place, then the network coming through fiber optics will become thing of the past. So the good news is today they have launched their beta program in India, where they are asking Indians to pre-book their devices for their homes, and it is going to cost as much as currently what we pay to our current providers. Um, Although as Indians we don't pay for the fiber optics because that is a cost of the telecom operator, but we still pay 100% refundable deposit for the devices the telecom operator put in our houses. So it is very similar to what Starlink is doing, very similar cost. They will put a device on the roof of your house, which will then create a Wi-Fi in your home. And the network will always be up. There is no downtime for it because there will be always four satellites over your head.
That's brilliant. I mean, I can remember back to the days in the 90s when I had a satellite phone, and it was fantastic. No matter where I was in the world, almost, I could get connectivity. But of course, the business plan then, business dynamics of the satellite phone, meant that the phone was quite expensive, but more importantly, the connectivity, the airtime, and we know that if we use a phone in a plane, that's quite expensive. The last time I recall, it was like $2 to $3 a minute, which is quite prohibitive, really. However, it means you've got connectivity. So, what do you think? As you say, you don't pay for fiber optics. Inadvertently, we do because it's in the ongoing cost of what we're utilizing. So it's the connectivity cost we're paying over time, whereas the service providers have to put the fiber optics in place now. But of course, we don't have to rip up roads, rip up pavements, rip up buildings, actually, and put hardwired connectivity through a fiber optic into your living room or dining room. So satellite's got to be the way to go. But what do you think their business plan is going forward? I mean, obviously, India is a very smart country to go in to initially, because as we just said, 1.4 billion people, there's quite a lot of people that can be connected. But what is their business plan? Do you think it's just going to be a capital cost and then the same ongoing costs that you pay for your phone line or being connected to someone else? What do you think the business plan is?
In my opinion, Neville, I think this is something which Elon Musk has already worked out very smartly. And this is a very good question that you asked. See, first off, is that there is no need for an expensive satellite. So they are using a lot of AI, self-repairing technology, and also preemptive, alert system. Something goes wrong in the satellite, they should have extra satellite to take over the place without disrupting the network. The satellites are made of a material which are very, very, very less expensive. And in case there is an accident and some satellite lodges out of the orbit and fall towards the Earth, it will burn up quickly. It will not reach the ground. So they have taken care of all those things. And these satellites will be running using the solar array. The power consumption will be very, very low. The whole objective of these satellites is to basically make sure that the connectivity is provided on the ground. And that's all they do. And they also, using laser lights, they will connect with each other so they know the health of the satellites in their proximity. So a lot of AI is being used in this project. Elon Musk and his very smart team has already figured out if they have to make it successful, unlike the satellite phones that you had used earlier. And the company, if I'm not mistaken, was Iridium. Right? So their model was different. They launched something like 11 satellites to cover the globe, very expensive, high-tech satellites. On the other hand, the SpaceX Starlink is sending very low-cost satellites. And the cost of sending satellites is also very low because they can send 100 to 200 satellites in a launch. So per satellite launch, per the cost of their creating the network is much lower than iridium, and also probably in some cases maybe much lower than laying fiber optics, because in a large country like India, laying fiber optics to the last end, the land's end, may be X amount of money. I think if you have a satellite on your head, maybe cheaper. So I think, and also this is true for even larger country like Russia. You know, if you have to provide network deep down in Siberia, it's quite tough. You know, doing anything in Siberia is too cold and too difficult terrain. So I think this is a way to go, and there is no solution for replacing this. And if 5G comes from something like Huawei, again there are challenges, because again that is dependent on erecting new towers, replacing current routers with their old with a new one, finding new technology, regulations, buying airtime. So I think this is a very simple long-term solution, and they are using a lot of AI. So I think that is a business model very clearly. They will send all the satellites which are repairable easily, replaceable, and also provide 100% connectivity all the time, and the same cost what we paid today. So if I pay per month something like $10 for a 250 Mbps connectivity, I would pay the same amount, but my connectivity will be much more reliable if I'm in an urban area. But tomorrow, if I move in my car, I will still get the same connectivity without paying extra dime.
It's clearly a very smart move. I hope he's got his economics right. A good company like SpaceX is, you would expect, not going to get that economics wrong. But I think the environmental benefits are immense. There'll always be the people that say, you know, airwaves around me, you know, moving around, it's a bit like living underneath a pylon. It's going to affect my brain. So there'll always be that arena, whereas, you know, having a fiber optic keeps it all in one place, as they say. I can actually physically see that, whereas I can't see these airwaves. So there'll be a lot of people thinking, well, this is not going to be very good for my head. So we'll have to deal with that, I suppose, in time. And of course, we've got no experience of it in many respects, but we've got lots of experience of it. It's a bit like COVID. You know, we've got so many variants out there now. I mean, frankly, there'll be a variant for every single town in the world eventually. So there's going to be some medical research, I'm sure, that's going to be done around this particular project. I think longer term, imagine now we're going to Mars. And I now have to work out where these satellites are, because I need to miss them as I send my rocket up. So I think there's going to be now sort of a question of who owns space? Who owns that outer rim of the world? Clearly, it's not governments, because they're all landlocked. But it's going to be very interesting whether or not now we can start to clean up our act in space. There's a lot of space debris out there that has been, you know, dropped from missions to the moon, or just missions to literally go around the world just on a spacewalk. There's lots of machinery now that's being created to clean up that debris. Like, I'm sure you've seen these capture nets, that there's a sort of a space buggy that's going around the world, picking up, like a refuse cart, picking up all of the rubbish that's been dropped from previous missions. So I guess the question will be going forward, and we're not going to be able to answer that here today, is how do we now monitor space? How are we really operating in that arena that we outside of the globe that we can't see? I mean, these things are going to be so small, we're not even going to be able to see them wherever they are. So there's a huge tracking system that needs to be put in place. And of course, the other thing is, you say at any one time there's 4 satellites over and above. You and I can remember the days of the SCSI systems, where your hard drive went down, but it didn't matter because the SCSI drive kicked in and there was an immediate replica that came through. They're going to have to think about all these types of operating issues to make sure that, as you say, our connectivity is still there. And then, of course, we've got privacy. So can you interrupt these signals? Is it end-to-end encrypted, as we're told most things are these days? I mean, who knows, really? We're only just asking a few questions. But apart from the likes of you and me that have seen this coming and heard it in the page 752 of a regular journal, it's now coming front page news. So everyone's going to be starting to hear about this. So I hope they've got the answers that people are going to be questioning, because if we don't have the answers, then things like this innovation will be stopped in its tracks. So let's hope they've got the answers. It's been a pleasure, as ever, talking about something really innovative that isn't COVID related. We need to move out of this COVID arena. Otherwise, we'll blame everything for COVID if we're not too careful. But this is a way forward. This is stopping really expensive infrastructure going ahead on the surface of the planet, or indeed just underneath the planet. And of course, as we have to dig down, and we're just digging down and putting something in the ground and then just filling it up again, that's a huge cost. And the next cost is what happens when it goes wrong. So there's that recovery position that we're always thinking about. You can't just dig it up and put a new cable down, as we seem to be doing all the time. We need to be thinking about projecting going forward and future-proofing the opportunity. This sounds like a great future-proof opportunity, CK. So thanks for bringing it to our attention at the beginning of the week. Let's see who comes and responds and starts to ask the questions that are going through your and my mind.
Well, on the lighter side, Neville, let me just add few more things here. See, if you look at India as a country, we had, we have been independent for last 70 years. Before that, there was a British rule for 250 years. Before that, there was somebody else who was doing that. So I think we have been digging the ground for almost like 500 years. And since, the rulers changed and nobody kept records. So today, the joke in India is that if you dig anything down, you don't know what you will cut.
There you go. There you go.
So, if you go to municipality, they will not have record more than 50 years old, because before that it was British. So go to the British and ask them, or maybe 70 years.
Well, don't come to me because I've not got the records. And 70 years ago, I wasn't around either. So let's on that hilarious comment going forward. Let's move into the 21st century. Let's talk about this space link again in the future, because it's clearly something that's going to be here for some considerable time. So let's hope the viewers are now really engaged in what's going to help with them. I'm hoping for the day when I go down a main motorway in the UK and I have a signal throughout. That would be lovely if I could just have 4 bars, let alone 5 bars, 4 bars or 3 bars on my phone, so that I can have a signal all the way down that motorway. Because at the moment, I can't get that signal. It drops. So we need to have something better. And my guess is, if you take all of the problem up there, and it's so high enough so that there's a direct line of sight between me and 4 satellites, nothing's going to get in the way, then I'm guessing I'll have connectivity. But we'll see.
Yes, so beta is rolled out today. The great news for Indians. And if you want to shift from, or not shift, you have an alternative. You can just pay $99 or 7,000 and odd rupees and get the equipment installed in your house. And they want to kickstart their network in the middle of 2021. So it's not very far off. So with this, I thank you, Naval, for joining this morning. It was a pleasure talking to you. We'll catch up again tomorrow on something very interesting.
Thanks so much, CK. Enjoy the day, everybody.
Bye-bye.